And good afternoon again. Today is July 12th, 2023. And this is recording 547, entitled Confidence in the Infinite Invisible. Confidence in the Infinite Invisible. First of all, what is confidence? Well, most dictionaries define it as a relationship or a relation of trust. To be able to have substance behind you. Today I was doing many little things, and as I would look back and see that I had misappropriated something, I knew it was wrong. And I looked at it and go, realization. I know that's wrong. I just demonstrated that. And this is the attitude that confidence brings to us, is that once we know that we know that we know, then that confidence is what stands under us. We don't need people to agree with us. If you'll look at Jesus Christ, who is purported to be the Savior of the world, walked around in truth, if you'll actually look at his life, you'll notice that in the world that he lived in, he was the only man among hundreds of thousands, if there were, that knew the truth. He was the only one, and he was not deterred because of the confidence that he had gained from the infinite invisible. Now the question is, how confident are you in that which you've placed your trust? How confident are you? You see, once a person perceives the truth and knows that he knows the truth, there's nothing to be accomplished. If I know that I know that I know, then I don't need to persuade you. I only need to live. I was thinking today that those who come out from among those who appear to be walking in non-truth, you have to make a decision that this is how you're going to live your life. What do I mean by that? Well, if we look at our world, we'll see that we live in a world that says be all that you can, do all that you can, go everywhere you can, and do this. And then we look at all of those people who are seemingly good people and do all these wonderful things, and they seem to live hand to mouth, or the child who is beaming with intelligence who just can't seem to get the money to go to college, or the person that just gets overlooked on the job, and staring us between the eyes are these promises of God that says, whatsoever you put your hand to will prosper. Wealth and riches will be in your house. No man will come at you, and I will be concerned with he who has opposition to you. You see, when you don't hear or you don't see me in the days that follow these broadcasts, I am constantly contemplating truth. And one thing, realization that came to me was I can either go out being a mockery before people, declaring the truth that I believe to be the truth because I believe it to be the truth, or I can continue to go down that road that they expect me to go down. Once you break away from the road that the world is traveling, you will become persecuted, you will become a mockery, you will be talked about, you will be put out, you will be set aside, ostracized, you name it. But the bottom line is, as we look out here and we see these people meeting a demise, we see them just crumbling under the pressures of this world, and yet they think that's normal. Because they live in a false hope of something that's going to regenerate their life or give them a new life at the end of this one. But there are those of us who look out and say, that's not the promise. Jesus said, or truth said, the kingdom of heaven has come to the earth. If the kingdom of heaven has come to the earth, then I must find what that truth is, that I might develop or have developed in me a confidence in this truth, to where if I go out, I can go out wrong if I'm wrong, but at least I went out fighting. I went out believing that there was something other than what most people are accepting as the way to go. How assured are you that what you have trusted in will suffice? Can you go from this moment to the next moment? Not to the next minute, but can you go from this moment to the next moment assured that all is well? I constantly meet with people who are constantly looking left, constantly looking right, constantly wondering, constantly hoping. In fact, just last evening, a woman, a young lady, had beaming confidence because the doctors had told her that a cyst under her arm was benign. It was common for people to get this type of thing, and there was no need for her to come for a follow-up visit. Everything was fine, and she was beaming with confidence. And her boyfriend said, so because the doctor told you that, you're okay? You see, her trust was in something external, and we all know that should that thing turn into a negative suggestion within her, the doctor will simply say, oh, it's come back, or it's done something else. But the diagnosis that we gave you was correct. Herein comes the confidence. The answer. Question. Where is your confidence? Is it in the infinite invisible? Is it in something that you can stand on? Or is it in something that you're hoping? Just remember, a little bit of doubt leads to a whole lot of trouble. Are you convinced that what you stand on, the truth that you stand on, is enough? The answer, I'll answer it for you. Only as far as your awareness has reached a realization. I'll repeat that. You will only be able to stand in any truth. You may read truth in a book. You may hear it spoken. You may hear it heralded across a newspaper, coming across the TV. But if it has not reached a realization within your consciousness, it's not a truth to you. Only to the point. That's why we go through tremendous struggles in this earth, that we might reach a realization that there is an infinite, invisible intelligence out there that loves us. For realization of anything is instant demonstration. But the realization must be demonstrated unto the sense of awareness. We must become fully aware. Fully aware. And just to mention a little scene that was in a movie that I caught the last parts of, Hidden Figures. And it's the story of when, I think it was John Glenn, made the first orbit out into space and came back. And while he was out there, something malfunctioned and his capsule began to heat up, and they were afraid for his life. And the normal thing to do was to jettison the parachutes. But the people who had calculated this said, no, do not jettison. He will be okay until he reaches the no-fly zone, whatever that was. But when he reaches that, then he can pull the chutes. He'll be okay. Where did they get the confidence to make a call with a man out there in space appearing to be burning up? Because they had studied and researched and whatnot until realization came. And sure enough, when he hit the no-fly zone, fire went out, pulled the chutes, and he landed in the Bahamas, safe and sound. You see, there is an infinite invisible law that is constantly making itself known each and every second of the day. Yet it goes unnoticed by most. It is about its business of providing all that creation needs, and yet creation continues to seek out inventions. Man is constantly trying to come up with something to make life better when the infinite invisible has promised that if you seek me with all your heart, I will lead and guide you into safety. Not only will I make you safe, not only will I give you all of the guarantees of life, I will make you a beacon light to those who are living in darkness. Why is it that we don't want to give up our seeming security to help others, but we will constantly look for a way in this world that is not guaranteed? Interesting, isn't it? We need to understand, not only does this infinite invisible provide all, but it constantly invites creation to become aware that it might have a relationship with it. I'm going to repeat that statement. All day, everywhere we look, is full of the infinite invisible inviting us to come into a relationship with it. Why? Because it is our parent. It is our mother. It is our father. And you say, well, why won't it speak to me? I can't answer. But there are people out there that are seeking it. So they must be hearing or feeling or being invited enough to go that way. Otherwise, they would think that it was just frivolous thinking, this thing called spirituality or religion. But nonetheless, if we seek, I am living proof, if we seek with our whole heart, revelation will come. Revelation comes, it comes as a thought. And a lot of times it comes as a thought that you thought until you realize that it's still lingering around and is bringing substance. It's bringing a feeling with it. And as we accept this, our awareness is raised. And we are losing the attachment, as we talked last week, losing the attachment to this world. But we are gaining a confidence in an infinite invisible that we truly, truly believe loves us and cares for us. Like I said, we can either go the road that everyone else is going, hoping for a better end result, or we can come out from among them and become the spectacle in the street that everyone is talking about and saying that you've gone crazy. But just remember, when this experience that we call life is over, they may still be calling you crazy, but you won't be around to hear it. And if you have continued to do it and continue to do it, surely you have found something that gives you proof to keep on going that route. We are not to seek the power of this infinite invisible to act for us, but to realize that we are filled with it already. That there is nothing that it has to give because we have always been endowed with it. The substance. We are the substance. As the statement came to me last week, can you take water out of water? No. If water were to be taken out of water, just think. Water would cease to be. and the formula that creates water would cease to be. For the substance of the infinite invisible to be taken from us, we would cease to be, and that which created us would cease to be. And we know just about how much chance God has of disappearing or being no more. As I stated, we have no need. What is the realization? The realization that we're seeking is to have no need. To just simply rest, knowing, look at that confidence that I just showed you. To be able to look at what's going on out here in this world and pay it, as they say in the old school, pay it no never mind. And he said, but can that be done? Well, we are told that the masters of old accomplished this, that they walked through fire, they walked through rain, they blizzards, they walked through poverty, they walked through sickness, disease. Yes, you will go through all of these things, that realization will come upon you. But if you stand on the outside and beg for the infinite invisible to make sure that it doesn't touch you, you don't have to go through it, you will always be looking for a miracle, for an act, when in reality, the prize is simply to rest. To rest. We are not to seek a God which denotes duality, but to recognize that all that which we believe God to be, we actually are already in visible expression. We can never be separated from the infinite invisible, because to be so would be the end of who we are and also the end of all that is. You know what's really strange? That even those that believe in a hellfire, where they are burning eternally, guess what the main thing is that they cannot get away from, if that's true? That they do exist. That even in a horrific state, they still exist. Now ask yourself, if the substance of all form is the substance that created me, will it allow itself to burn eternally? Because for me to exist, I have to be locked into it. We look about and we see all that this infinite invisible encompasses. But do we really realize that all that is at our command? Wow. Can you start to see how oddly you're going to be perceived when you begin to walk around and someone says, you know, I'm suffering from blah, 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 and you look at them and say, if you can believe that I am he, go in peace. That's all it takes. It doesn't matter whether that person gets healed right there on the spot. You are acknowledging the infinite invisible, and they are acknowledging maybe the finite visible. And yet we have heard cases where people have come up and said, you know, the infinite invisible said that if you prayed for me, I'd be healed. But if we are afraid to put ourselves in a position to be recognized as such, then we will walk around constantly waiting on something to do something to cause us to be able to rest. Yep, and we spoke about that rest a little earlier. That rest is a realization in consciousness, a realization in awareness. And when it comes, then we understand the scriptures. And when he comes, he will steal upon you like a thief in the night, bringing a revelation and bringing a reward. What is the reward? The reward is not being able to walk out and say, hey, I got it, y'all. Y'all come to me, and I can pray for you. That's not the reward. The reward is that rest that enters your consciousness. And when it enters your consciousness, guess what it brings with it? Confidence. Confidence to what? To rest. Because now you know that not only are you looking out here at the infinite invisible all around you, but you have entered into the holiness of that relationship. And it is revealing all that it has. What? Love. It's revealing all that it has. Life. It's revealing all that it is. Eternality. As the Master said, to know God aright is eternal life. When we can get this picture out of our consciousness of God being something like a big man or a big whatever, then we can actually be about the Father's business, which is realization and awareness and the demonstration that causes us to rest. The laws that determine the infinite species, the fruitages, principles, is the same law that we contain in our consciousness. Now we see there is no duality, but we must reach a place where we can accept that truth. All that is, the Father has. It is ours to express in the earth. It withholds nothing from us. It is only as we discard the God that we ignorantly serve and come to know the God that resides within. No longer reaching out to a God that we expect to act on our behalf, but to simply recognize that we have been fulfilled from on high with every spiritual idea. Ours is but to traverse the three soils of limitation described in the scriptures. They're described as the soil of 30, 60, and 100-fold expressions. Awareness produces confidence. Remember, realization is demonstration. Confidence comes from knowing fully the platform on which you stand will fully support and substantiate every need. My God shall supply all your need according to his riches in Christ Jesus. And just a simple look at that statement, my God, that which I believe is the creator of the universe, shall supply all of that which I think I need according to the riches that he has put in the Christ, who is now located in what I call me, the temple. God has authorized the Christ to provide everything that I need. That's his riches. And what does he ask of me? Just simply believe. This can be said about now the many trials and tribulations that we must go through. They come because we have made a conscious decision to invest in the infinite invisible. That which it does not support must be cast aside. I'll make that statement again. That which the infinite invisible does not support must be cast aside. And where are these things holding up? They're holding up in our consciousness. And these trials and tribulations are coming at us that we might see now what we believe about certain situations, and then have the realization come to us, but I only need to rest. I only need to stand fast in this truth, which sets me free. But without the trial and the tribulation, we will never even realize that that's what's going on. We have to be able to allow the infinite invisible to surely show us that the trials are coming. They are coming, but they will also be cast aside, thrown out like garbage. And what will be left? The realization that we are true and that we are free, and nothing that by any means can harm us. This is known as the strong man being bound and cast out. It's amazing how a lot of the stories in the Bible I see now, I mean, they're just so simple to read into now and understand, whereas for years I was constantly slinging the book around or kicking it off this. I don't understand this. But now they are so simple. The strong man, that's just a truth that you're holding in your consciousness, but it's being portrayed in a story as a man. A strong man is cast out. And when it cast it out, you feel really good for a while, but if you do not add to the truth that has come, or do not rest in that truth, it says the strong man will come back. What? The familiarity of how you handled the situations before. It comes back, and it comes back with its awkward confidence and causes us to what? Become 7 times worse. And we start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When that only means completely. That's all it means, is when it comes back, we will be taken over completely by the human side of life, and you might as well. Now that scripture makes sense where it says that it is impossible to rejuvenate or bring a person back to the truth of who they are once they have perceived it and then have fallen away. What's the falling away? Going back to familiar ways of doing things. Trials and tribulations must come to every soul, but he that has his confidence in the infinite invisible shall overcome them all. And their light shall shine as a beacon to all that seek the freedom of the soul. Be not afraid of failure, for there is nothing that can separate us from life infinite. What does that mean? If I fail, get up and start trying again. We put more effort into worldly things that we try to prove. We just keep failing. My wife looked at me the other day and she saw me working with something and she said, "You just like a challenge, don't you?" And I said, "It's not that I like it. I just don't believe that I should succumb to something because it's hard. I believe that a person figured out a way to do something to make this hard, and I have the same mind in me to show me how to get through it. I may not even be able to explain how I got through it, but I got there." What's the satisfaction? Of knowing that I have the mind of Christ. Now we start to look at all these prodigies out here in the world. Nobody's as smart as these geniuses. I mean, why is God picking certain people to just being able to calculate going to the moon, or being able to play Mozart and Brahms at age 2, or to write, or to young Sheldon being come on. That's the intelligence of God that is expressing itself through its temple to get the attention of people that the infinite invisible is here. And we may not be chosen to be a genius, but guess what you become when you understand the infinite invisible and that it resides with you and it's going to lead you and guide you? That's right. You become a genius, don't you? The only thing is not to take that identification upon yourself, but to allow it to flow out. To flow out. Don't question what people, if you know you're being led by the Spirit of God, don't question what people are saying about you. Only question if you don't know, they might be right. In fact, they usually are right in their way of doing things. But if God is leading and guiding you, no. Nothing can separate us from the love of God. For where it is, there we shall always be found. For it is been shed upon us that we should share with all that come in contact with us, even if it's just a forgiving look. That's all. Just a forgiving look. That the substance that is also the substance that reveals itself as that which we are. If the realization comes to you that all truth is in you, who are you going to go tell? Now you see why you rest, knowing that you are the healing agent, the healing agency, wherever you are. That they simply need call and you can bless it internally. And don't look to see if results happen. Just know that they are. As I said earlier, take water out of water, what do you got left? Take air out of air. What do you have left? Separate love from love. You can't have hate, because God doesn't know hate. God is love. Can you not see this indissoluble union? As they say, they hooked at the hip. Jesus was so hooked with God, he says, when you see me, you see him. And he was not talking about the body. He was talking about the substance that was standing behind who he appeared to be. And he had accepted that identity as who and to what he was. Therefore, he could speak with a confidence in the invisible, an indissoluble union. Let this be your rock-solid confidence that holds us stable in the infinite, invisible. God bless. Now let's have a meditation. It is in this invisible that I place all of my energies, all my thoughts. I know that they shall not come back void, because they are the very thoughts and truths that were given me. And I know that they cannot come back to me void, because whatsoever God has bequeathed or spoken cannot return to him void. So therefore, whatsoever is born of God overcomes the world. So what shall I fear? God cannot refute his word, nor can God withhold the blessing that is upon his word. So therefore, I give myself wholly and holily to this understanding that where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is oneness. And that oneness is my joy. And my joy is full. I need only contemplate this, that the feeling would come. And it shall surely come, because God cannot promise and it not be. Therefore, I stand in awe of that which is, that which was, and that which will always be, knowing that I and my Father, the infinite and invisible, are one. Speak, Lord. Your servant is listening.